Hi everybody, welcome to the video that we're doing today as an introduction to the series of workshops that we're going to be doing. My name is John Marr. I'm in the Eastern Career Services area as the Employee Relations Specialist, and I would like to introduce Bobby Kingery, the Director of the Career Services Department, and she's going to be talking a little bit today about the series that we're going to be creating. Bobby?
Hi, it's great to speak with you all. Pretty excited about the fact that we're putting together this virtual series. We're going to cover many of the same workshops that we typically do in-house, but this way, having the virtual recording, it's going to be available 24/7 to all of you, and that will be really convenient for both our on-campus students and our off-campus students. We're going to cover a lot of the basic things that you think of when you think of career services. So we'll have workshops going over resumes, cover letter writing, interview skills, job and internship skills, how you do that search aspect, as well as job fair prep. So a lot of the kind of standard things that we typically handle. We also may have one talking about career choice and how our students can explore what's interesting to them and pick a career path for the future. But this is just the intro to kind of let you know what it's going to be like, what we're going to be like during the process. So I'll give it back to John.
That's great, Bobby. Thank you. So since this is an intro to the series, I want to start with a question that I don't know if incoming freshmen would have, which I think they would, or any student that hasn't used our services before. And that is, when and why should I ever connect with career services?
Okay, let's start with the why. Why should you connect? Because career services is the office on campus that is really focused on working with you to determine what your goals are when you leave Eastern, and to make certain that we have done everything outside of the classroom to make you competitive to get to the next step. So it is really individually focused. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? How do we help you get there? That's what's exciting about what we do. And that's the why, because we're going to help you figure out how to be successful, how to translate education into the career that you're looking for. So if we know the why, then the when, I think, becomes a little more obvious. And the when is, we want to do this as soon as possible. Because the longer we have to help you, the more we can do to help you be successful. So if you're an incoming freshman, let's figure out why you're here and what you want to achieve. And then let's figure out what else you should be doing. And it just gives us more time to set you up to be as successful as possible. Now, that also means if you're coming back to Eastern and you're coming into your senior year and you've never been in career services, it's not too late. We're still here to help you. And we're going to look at, okay, what's that goal? This is how much time we have left. What should we do in this time? What are our priorities to get you to that goal? But certainly more time is better and is ideal. So that's kind of the why and the when. John, you have to unmute.
Oh boy, of course I would. You know what? That's just the way it works with videos and trying to do things like this, isn't it? I wish I could cut this out too, but I'm not going to be able to, so everybody will get a big chuckle out of it. One of the things that I'm taking out of what you just said, Bobby, is incoming freshmen who haven't been on campus before can contact us if they have questions or they want to explore some of their options. They can contact us before they even get here. And at the opposite end, what happens once I graduate? When a student graduates, do they have access to our services?
They do. And that's really one of the fun things about what we do. Alumni of EIU have access to career services literally for the rest of their life. Now, not all alumni are going to be like you and be hired by career services 30 years. But we're here to help people who are moving to that next level in their career. I'm working with a couple people this summer who, have achieved what they wanted in their first field, and now they're at a point where they want to do something completely different. And so we're working on what does that look like for them, and how do we help them make that transition? So that's what's really great. We often get to hear back from people. I've been in the office 24 years, and I will hear back from people I met in my first 5 years. And it's so exciting to see where they are and what they're doing, and how Eastern helped them achieve those goals. So we're here for everybody. From the minute that you commit to EIU and you've paid that deposit, you can start working with Career Services. And after you've left us, until you are no longer on this earth, you can work with Career Services.
That's pretty exciting. Actually, what a value too, right? What a value.
Yeah.
Um, so thanks for that, and I hope that people really think about that, because we're here, we are here to help, and we're here to help from that end all the way to the end of the spectrum. So thank you. As you can tell, both by my mute button and trying to get used to it, and by the background that you're seeing, lots of changes have happened since last semester. Can you tell me about just a few of them that I can expect in the fall that I didn't expect in previous semesters?
Certainly. COVID-19, it's hit us all. So Career Services is fully open. We are fully operational. But at this stage, everything we are doing is virtual. So all of our one-on-one appointments are virtual. Either this type of platform, phone calls if students don't want to do Zoom or Teams meetings. Our job fairs this fall will be virtual. So they will not take place in the union as usual. They will take place in a virtual platform. But we're hoping that allows us to reach out to different employers who maybe wouldn't typically travel to Charleston. Our workshops, as we said, will be virtual. So students can still get exactly the same service and the same services that they received from us last spring. They just won't be sitting in this office with me to do that. So, but everything that was available to students will still be available.
Good, that's great to know. And then some, because that leads me into my next question. What exciting plans do we have?
Exciting plans. The thing I'm really probably right now most excited about is a workshop series, a different workshop series that John is actually working on. Um, Networking is so important. And we talk to our students about networking all the time, whether we do it, online through LinkedIn, whether in the past they've done it by coming to an informal networking night and meeting people face to face, which again, we can't do right now. So we've been talking for a while, and we're putting together a series that's going to take place on Wednesday nights. And we're reaching out to alumni or other employers that we know really throughout the entire United States. And we're asking some of these people to give us an hour of their time. And they're going to come on and talk a little bit about their current position and the industry that they're in, their career path, how they got where they are. Because I think that's really hard sometimes for students to understand. Okay, I know I want to get to this position, but what are the steps from straight out of college to vice president of a marketing firm in New York City? And that's the other thing that's really neat, is that we are reaching out to people all over. We're reaching out to people in New York City, the VP of a marketing firm, reaching out to some alumni right now who are in Seattle. One of the students I worked with for years, who's out in Seattle now, working for Starbucks corporate. We've got a student we're reaching out to who works in sports management, and is in Chicago now in a new position, but also had the experience of working a Super Bowl and helping with the planning of it. So these are people who have really interesting jobs, some of which are more typical, and some that are really very different. And our students are going to get a chance virtually to hear these people's stories, to get advice from them, and then to meet them and then build that network. So I think this is exciting because we all like to hear from the people themselves. You know, a student can talk to you or talk to me, and I can tell them about these people, not the same as hearing the story from them. Um, so this is something we've wanted to do for a while, but time just didn't make it happen. But now that everything is virtual and people are so used to doing things virtually, we felt it was the right time to put it together and to offer that in the fall. So I know John and I are both really excited about it.
Yeah, that's true. We are, and I can't wait for it to get started.
Yeah.
Thanks. Um, so you mentioned earlier about a virtual job fair and everything we're doing is virtual and making appointments with us. And this is a little bit out of order, but how would I do, how are you going to do that? Do you have a tool? What kind of tool are we using?
We do. Well, the other thing that's kind of different about our office this year is the Career Services online platform that we're using. Students who've been at Eastern, we're used to hearing about Panther Tracks, and we've switched platforms, and it's no longer Panther Tracks. Now we're using Handshake. And Handshake is that platform that students are going to be able to build a profile in, which everybody needs to do, upload their resume. They can then search for jobs and internships. And in a change from the way it happened previously, Handshake is also going to be the place students can look for on-campus employment and local part-time employment. And that wasn't available in our previous system. So we're excited about that because it's really going to be a one-stop shop for the employment aspect of it. Students will be able to schedule appointments through Handshake, so they won't have to physically walk to the office or make a phone call to schedule an appointment. They'll be able to plug in what they're looking for, see who's available, and get on our calendars, which I think is really exciting. They can message us. I worked with an incoming freshman who lives in Florida this summer, and she had some questions, and so she scheduled an appointment through Handshake. But then I was able to message her back and say, hey, it would be helpful if you did this for the appointment. And we were able to kind of correspond through Handshake and keep things moving. And they're also the platform on which we're going to hold our virtual job fair. So we will have workshops available to show our students how to handle a virtual job fair. It's very, very different than the face-to-face. And there will be information online and videos about how to do that. But we will have 3 job fairs this fall, a small accounting job fair, our regular business, not just College of Business, but business, social work, those types of fairs, and then an education fair later in the semester. So Handshake is really new for us. We just brought it up this summer, but it's much more streamlined than Panther Tracks. I think it's easier to use. It's more visually appealing. And they've got a more robust mobile app as well that I think the students will appreciate.
That's great. I think we're all looking forward to using that. In the past, they would have gotten emails from our office that would have said the other program that we used. This time, I think those emails, and it's easier to communicate with us too, because there's a messaging function.
Right.
So as part of all of this, I heard you say that we're encouraging all students to go out and create a profile. They already have access to it if they were in our old system. So they have access, all of the things should still work. They just need to go in and build their profile. And we really want every student to have a profile in there.
Well, and what's important about the profile is that's what employers search on to find our students. And the reason you go with a platform like Handshake is that we have the companies and the organizations that we work with, and you'll find those jobs and you'll find those things. But with a platform like Handshake, all the other universities and colleges that use it, you'll be able to see the jobs from those places. And we've attended a lot of webinars this summer about how this pandemic is changing recruitment. And one of the things the theme that has consistently come through is that employers are going to be spending a lot less time and money traveling to campuses. It's just not safe. Uh, but I heard several of them say during a series of webinars I went to that that means they're also then going to open up and look at more colleges and universities. Because if they're not spending their time on the road and their money paying for travel, that allows them to broaden their reach and consider a lot more people. So it's critical for our students, if you want a chance at those types of organizations, you have to be active in Handshake. You've got to have that profile that they can search and find you. You want that resume out there so they can look at you and say, wow, this is somebody I'm interested in. If you don't have that, you don't exist to them. So it's really critical that that be done.
That's really good. That's a good description of Handshake and how we plan to use it and how we expect the students would be able to benefit from it. I appreciate that, Bobby. They can access that from our website, and I know we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. So I'm going to pull up a slide as you answer these next two questions.
Okay.
The first question that I want you to answer is, how do I physically find career services?
Perfect. Well, you can see on the slide on the screen that we are in the Human Services Center. What that means is we are on the South Quad of Eastern's campus. So we are in between Thomas Hall and Clem Hall. Lumpkin Hall is right near us as well. If you have dropped by the medical clinic to drop off your vaccination records, we are right next door in the same building as the medical clinic, literally next door. So that's where you will physically find us on campus. During the summer, we're open 8 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday and 8 to noon on Friday. During the academic year, the office hours are 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. And that means most of our appointments will take place between that 8 to 4:30 time frame. One of the other advantages, though, of being virtual is that if we have students who the 8 to 4:30 doesn't work for, maybe you're an athlete and between practice and your classes, you can't get to us during that time, or you're an off-campus student and you never travel to campus. That's when you reach out to John or I, because we take the bulk of these student appointments. And that's when you reach out to us and you explain that these are the times you are available. This is why you can't make an 8 to 4:30. And we can schedule an appointment outside of our typical office hours so that it's convenient for you, because it doesn't always work for everybody. So that's how you can get in touch with us. If you look on the screen, you'll see that you've got John's email and my email. One of the best ways to get in touch with us is to email us, but not to schedule an appointment. Do that through Handshake. If you have a broader question and you want to call the office, the number is 217-581-2412, and that will get you to our main office and they can direct your call where it needs to be. And then the last thing on that is our website. We have a wonderful website with a lot of information that will be at the touch of your fingertips 24/7 whenever you need it. So that's very helpful. It's where you can get to Handshake initially if you need to. If you're looking to choose a major and I ask you to complete the assessment Focus 2, you will get to that from our website. So you definitely want to look at our website, get familiar with it, and use the resources there, as well as engaging with us not face to face, but one-on-one.
That's great. Good. And actually, we found some real benefits in the virtual meetings and being virtual. Of course, there are drawbacks to it because we don't get that three-dimensional face-to-face kind of contact. So we don't get to look directly in each other's eyes. Handshaking is probably out the window for the next several years, if ever comes back.
Right.
But this type of relationship building is going to become somewhat normal for a lot of people. And networking like this. So all that information that you gave is really good, and we look forward to contacting. I hope what's coming through is our passion for helping students. We're flexible, we're available, we're really here for them. And from the timelines that you explained, from the time they enter college until forever, until they're tired of meeting with us. So
Right.
I think that's great. I have one final question for you, Bobby. Thanks for sharing all of this so far.
Okay.
Um, one of the things that you mentioned about this pandemic that we are still currently going through, um, you talked about an opportunity, and that was other employers who may not have come to our campus physically may show up for our job fairs now.
Mhm.
So students may have access to employers who they may not have had in the past. So I'm taking that one off the table.
Okay.
I would like for you to talk about one benefit or opportunity that you see coming out of this pandemic, because there have been so many negatives. I'd like to know what one positive is.
And I think every time you've asked me this, I've given a different answer, and I'm not going to vary from that. Um, I think this pandemic has moved things forward more quickly. And what I'm thinking about today is that for the last 24 years in this office, I have been helping people learn how to interview, usually on a face-to-face. You know, I'm going to be sitting at a table, you're across the table from me, and we're going to talk. And over the last 5 or 6 years, you know, we've been delving more into those virtual interviews. And not just phone interviews, but now actual Skype or Zoom interviews. And it's been new to our students. And many of them were really uncomfortable with this medium, as we all were, I think, at the beginning of this. The fact that we've all had to become much more comfortable with this online communication will help our students interview more effectively, utilize technology more effectively. And I think also they're going to be able to talk to employers about how they adjusted and excelled or succeeded in their education, even with this transition. You know, in March, we sent our students on spring break and we said, take an extra week and then don't physically come back. You know, after that extra week, everything is going to be delivered virtually. And that was a big shock, but they adjusted. They got through it. And employers really appreciate people who can take on a challenge and talk about how they overcame it. So I think that's really the positive. Our students will be much more familiar and comfortable with this virtual platform, which is the direction our industry was going anyway. It just sped it up. So they're better prepared for what was coming next. And this is going to be a big part of our world, even when we can get back a little more to the normal we once knew. It's never going to be exactly the way it looked.
Thanks. That was that's actually enlightening, and it shows that all of us, when our world changed, we all had to adapt. Some of us adapted a little quicker than others. Some of us didn't, but we all adapted, and we're still moving in that direction. And that's one of the things that Career Services is here to help students with, is that transition from the old way of doing things to kind of a hybrid of how we're going to be doing things in the future. So thank you. I appreciate that. Bobby, any last words before we sign off?
You know, I think if I can say one thing to our students that are watching this is that we really want to work with you. That's why we're here. It's exciting for us. It's fun for us. I tell this story all the time, but it's like I have thousands of children and I am not financially responsible for any of you. So I get the pleasure of hearing your dreams and hearing your fears and helping you figure out how to achieve that goal that sometimes you're not even sure you can achieve. We're going to help you figure out how to achieve it. There's so few places, I think, that are genuinely focused on what our students want. What do you want to achieve? How can we help you get there? Take advantage of that. Because I think there are very few places in life where you get that level of support and genuine support for your success. So I hope you all come in and give us a chance to show you what we can do to help you achieve the goals that you set for yourself.
Thank you, Bobby. I want to tell you thanks for having this casual fireside chat that we've been practicing and working toward. This intro to our series, I hope people learned from it. I hope they're excited for the semester that's coming. And I want to tell you that I'm really looking forward to working on all these things with you. So thanks a lot, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. You too.